Federico. ¿Cómo
One
estás,
sec.
idiota?
Let me change something. One sec.
Ok.
Okay, now it will be fine. I was hearing from a wrong headset. How are you
Noob.
doing?
Good, good. Got wrecked out twice by the same opening, man. I need to learn how. Teach me how to stop this
Yeah.
freaking opening. It wrecks me.
What? Oh, the Sicilian again.
Again,
Well,
the
I
move
was.
to C6. No,
Yeah,
C5. Sorry.
Sicilian.
Yes.
Okay, let me create this. I send you a link on Discord. Are you
Okay. Yes.
on Lichess?
Vamos.
I was checking your profile this morning.
Did you see the pick
Uh,
14 plus player?
exactly. That's
Sick.
that's very nice. But last games, what happened? You're not
Yeah, I don't know,
at it
man.
anymore.
I don't know. When I'm streaming, I'm not concentrated, and then I get wrecked.
Yeah. Also, you got like a very nice streak at some point. You won a lot of games in a row.
Yeah,
Uh, I guess when you stream and you read the chat, it's hard to play at the same level.
yeah.
But I wanted to remind you a few things that you still doing what you always do. So that's gonna be. Let's start with that. Okay, let me check. There's let's split white and black. Basically, with black, you always play. Uh, Actually, with black, there's not too much problems. The only one I saw you keep playing is against against d4 here,
hmm
right? You know, this is called the Scotch, and
How?
many times
How's it called?
the Scotch,
The
uh,
Scotch.
like yeah,
Okay.
Scotch, like the Celts or Celts
Mm.
in the age. Well, basically, you are taking twice, and you shouldn't take. I mean, I told you this the other time. You shouldn't play knight x e4. I mean, this is a mistake, and probably the easiest way to play here is bishop c5, and probably what you have to remember, which is not very complicated, but if you don't remember this move, it will look like knight c6 is annoying. What can you play in this position? Let's flip it actually, so you see it from your side.
I already forgot.
There is a key move here that, because as you know, many times we want to take with the d
Yeah.
pawn, but now they would take the queen and we lose the right to castle.
Uh, and don't remember. Like I said, B. That's the only one. No.
Well, this one could be playable, right? But again, we would prefer to take with this pawn,
hmm
and the only way to do this is playing this nice move, right? First, uh, I remember last week
Ah,
you
yeah,
told it.
but he cannot move back, right? Yeah. Well, he
Yeah,
can
he
go.
can't go here.
Yeah.
He needs to defend the mate, and your next move is gonna be d takes c6. So this is important because I mean, let me check. I'm checking only the games after the last lesson.
hmm
You play like I don't know 150 more or less.
1 billion
Uh,
games.
yeah, and there's 10 games where your opponent did this.
And I
You
always
went
sit.
d6. You went d6 3 times. Actually, no, your score is quite good, but not because of the opening. I mean, probably you outplay them after, but here you play 3 times d6, which is really bad because after pawn takes, you will end up losing the castle or the pawn, right?
hmm Yeah.
So d6 is bad. I mean, here the only move is taking,
hmm
and after this, you want to go bishop c5. I mean, this is important. If you take like this, which you did, let me check. All the games, like the
hmm
5 games you got this position, you took. Uh, you won 3 and you lost 2. I mean, that's not like very relevant. The problem is the queen is very strong here in the center, Sometimes you hear like, okay, you shouldn't develop the queen so early, but when you're ready to trade the knight and you don't have knight c6, like annoying the
Mm-hmm.
queen is very, very well placed here, and it's so easy for white to develop. Usually they go knight c3, they go the bishop, one of these two, they can castle queenside, and you, I mean, can't play knight f6 so easy because e5 is annoying. If you go d6, knight f6, maybe they can even do all this and then e5, right? Because you have to think if he will castle queenside, there will be a rook on d1. e5 is gonna be annoying even if you play d6. So this is something we talked last week, and well, I
And
wanted to tell you again because it's
I
really
forgot.
important that you play queen. Yeah, queen f6. There's some other things I saw you forgot, but in general, uh, okay, in the Spanish, you went a6, 4 games only. It's surprising that you don't see the Spanish too much, at least in these games.
Mm-hmm.
But you play, okay, if they take d takes, this is perfect. They took the pawn, you went queen d4 twice, which is the right way to play, right? You recover
Mm-hmm.
the pawn
Mm-hmm.
and it's good. But after bishop a4, what do you usually do? I mean, if you see this position,
I guess
what's
B
your instinct?
B5. Yeah, I always
b5
did.
and knight here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we said last week. And it's, I mean, it's not like necessarily a bad line, but definitely not something I would recommend you to play. There's so many problems here. I mean, if bishop takes f7 is a very, very dangerous line. They go knight takes. You need to play king e7. It's the only way not to get destroyed in the opening. And then it's really hard to develop, play with the king in the center. I don't know. This is just too risky.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if they play d4, it's like you are just uh, moving too many times the same piece, and you will
Mm-hmm.
have problems to hold the center. And the same problem will happen. They can take with the queen, and even if you take the bishop, this queen is gonna be very strong here, and you will have problems to develop the knight.
Mm-hmm.
So what to do here? Wait, you have another game. You want bishop c5, castle knight g7. Okay, that's not so good also because they can play c3 d4 very quickly. So there is an order I want to recommend you that it will make the game very similar to the Italian, right? The Italian is bishop c4.
Mm-hmm.
So you play a6, they go back. You go knight f6 first, attacking the pawn.
Mm-hmm.
They can castle, they can go d3. That's more or less the same, but your next two moves will be b5 and bishop c5, right? So it's gonna be like Italian where the
Mm.
bishop is on b3 and you have this, which is not changing anything like too important. There are some differences, of course, but you can play in a very similar way.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine they go d3 or castle, doesn't matter. You go b5 and you go bishop here, and then d6, then a6, then castle, and you are placing the pieces in a very similar way to the Spanish or Rui Lopez and the Italian.
Mm-hmm.
So the only important thing to know here is that imagine they castle. This is the best move, right? You go b5, bishop here, and bishop c5. If they play slow, with a slow I mean c3, d3, h3, all these moves that are not really critical, well, then you go d6, h6, castle, and it's more or less easy to play. In general, the plan I would like you to know is that you need to bring this knight to g6, right? So many times you want to play knight e7, knight g6,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like a good way to put the pieces. And there is a tactical thing that you should know that when you move the knight, you should probably move the bishop first because if you do knight e7 immediately, d4 will be forcing you to take,
Mm-hmm.
right? Otherwise, you might be losing the e5 pawn. So every time you see a position like this, also in the Italian, you probably want to play bishop b6 and then knight e7, knight g6, right? That's like the way to play this position. You bring the knight, then you put the bishop here or here. But this is like the first thing you want to do in these positions. Uh, okay, so the most important thing is what happens if he plays c3 d4 immediately, right? Because we don't want to take in general, because after pawn takes, white will have a very strong center, right? We go d6, d4. If we take, this is just so annoying for us. We don't want to allow him to keep the center. Knight c3, rook e1, bishop, then maybe e5, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the last thing about this opening, every time this happens, we want to just move the bishop back. We will take on e5 with the knight, with the pawn, but we will keep, I think I showed you something similar last week. We will keep the something in the center, right? We
Yeah.
want to keep this pawn here, right? And well, you could ask me, what happens if pawn takes? Because it's not so easy. We didn't castle yet, right? We have the
Mm-hmm.
queen on the 8. And this is a very specific situation where, well, it doesn't really matter. We lose the castle. We take with the knight. We take here. And if they want to take this pawn, right, like this, we will recover on e4.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go like rook f8. And then we have a lot of pressure on f2. This is like probably the only thing you have to memorize here, right? Then the position is very similar to the Italian. Like when they play bishop c4, you play here, you play here, here, castle a6, right? All these type of moves. What I would add now, always trying to add some small detail for the opening, is that this knight going to g6 is a very
Mm-hmm.
nice rearrangement. But before doing that, remember, you don't do this because of d4,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you go bishop b6, for example, or a6 and bishop a7. Once you do that, you go knight d7 and knight g6, right? Something like this. You want to. This is a very nice way to play the Italian or the Rui Lopez as black. Okay, so there is another game I saw, which I think is very important. It's in the Italian when they play c3, knight f6, d4 immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had a game like this. I don't know. What's your instinct here? What would you play?
I guess I8 with e5.
Yeah, here you would like to keep the center, but you just can't, right?
Yeah.
Your if pawn is hanging if you move the bishop, so you take. He
Mm-hmm.
takes. You went bishop before check, which is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And now they went bishop d2. I think you took
Yeah.
castle and you castle here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then
Sounds reasonable.
something like rook e8 happened. Your opponent went queen b3, knight g5, bishop f7, and you got destroyed. I don't know if you remember the game or not. I will try to copy now so you know which one I'm saying. So it's probably the last one. Yeah, this game. You had this as black, right? The opening is very nice. You
Mm-hmm.
take, you go bishop check, you take. In this position, you go castle. Castle is a big positional mistake
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want, I mean, this is what you have to remember. You don't want him to keep the center so strong, right? You play castle, he plays e5 or d5, and you are in a very bad situation. What do you think you can do to fight for the center? Think it as map control, as the chat says.
I guess maybe something like that.
D5, yes, this is, I mean, but this is like the only move you can play here.
Mm-hmm.
If you play anything else, you are in big trouble already. You do this, he will have to take or move the bishop and you take, doesn't matter. But now you, I mean, this d4 pawn is kind of weak.
Mm-hmm.
It's isolated, right? There's no pawns to defend. So you can put a lot of pressure in the next moves. Here, if they do this, well, you can just defend with the knight, put the pawn on c6, castle, and go bishop e6. But this d4 pawn
Yeah.
is very weak, and you already start from a very nice position, right? Black is completely fine here, but you have to play d5, and this is one of the exceptions, right? When they play c3, d4 so quickly, you don't have time to play d6 and bishop e6.
Mm-hmm.
If he plays, imagine castle, castle, h3, d6, after d4, well, your only good choice would be keeping the center, right?
Hmm.
But if he plays immediately when your e5 pawn is not defended, which he can do right before here, the way to counterattack this is trading the bishop and then playing d5 immediately.
Yeah.
You can't. What happened in this game is a good example. I mean, he went queen b3. You had to go back with the rook. He went knight g5. Then he took f7, and it's already a disaster.
Yeah, need to
Uh,
remember that. By the way, thank you for the raid, Beef AOE.
so the the concept to remember here is you need to do something against the center, right? Like d5 is always like the standard reaction, and you have to play this move. Otherwise, your opponent didn't play the best way, right? Castle, you can still play d5, right?
Hmm.
But if he push e5, you will never play d5 again, or even d5. Here e5, and I mean, what are you doing with the pieces, right? You have
Yeah,
to
it's bad.
start losing a lot of space, map control, let's call it, and well, he can just do whatever he wants. He has all the squares in the board to play, and you are like all in the first rank, which
Correct.
clearly is bad. Okay, so I think those are the most important things. 40-45, I want to see against the Italian, which you also get a lot. Uh, I saw you are playing a6 usually in these slow Italians where they play d3. You are playing this move, which is really important to
Hmm.
prevent this. Uh, that's good.
I remember
And
that.
then yeah, something you have to remember. uh, no, but then in general the games are very decent. I mean, you have. I will copy some of the games you lose just to point out that you are losing a lot of games just because of very silly tactics that like you can clearly see this, and maybe just I don't know if you're playing too fast or if you're, I mean, maybe you are streaming at the same time or you are not focused. But in general, well, you won like 100 points from last week, so clearly the games were good, and maybe you can even go higher, right? When you go up 100 points in 1 week, I think it's because against 1300 you are doing very well.
Hmm.
So uh, yeah, that's for black. Then for white, that here I see the same things. White openings against the Sicilian. Seems like you have no idea what to do
Yeah, that one
with this
wrecks me
move.
always. Now it's 3 games in a
The
row today before this.
I think I didn't copy the last one.
So all
Okay,
three
maybe I
was
can
this.
copy. Yeah, let me copy your last 3 games then, because well, this is probably you see more e5, right? At your
Yeah,
level,
if it's
e5 is more.
c5, I usually win. If it's c5, I usually get wrecked.
Okay, well, there are some alternatives that you could try to, because I mean the best way to play is opening against the Sicilian, right? Playing knight f3 and d4, right? Taking with the knight, and I
Mm.
think you never play like this.
Yeah, I
I
never.
mentioned, but if you don't want to play like this, and at your level, if you just learn a good alternative, that could be c3, for example. C3 could be a very decent way to play at this level. It's called the Alapin, and the idea is very simple. You want to play d4 and recapture with a pawn,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I will show you a few ideas with this, but first I want to see what you have been playing after the Sicilian. So you always play e4. 77 games I have. In 77 games from March 24,
I
you
always
have
play. I don't think I ever played, even if you look like
in all your
100%.
games. You have like 4,000 games.
All of them
I can
before.
take it. Yeah, good. It's good to focus on one. Don't try to play everything because then you don't know. No, I'm saying that in the last games you had 35 e5 and
Hmm.
18 c5,
Hmm.
and then the rest is 6, 6, 5. I mean, it's you have to really focus on these two because it's, I don't know, like 80% of your games will be one of these two moves.
Yeah.
Uh, so e5 first. That. This one it seems you know better. You're winning like yeah, almost every game. You're doing well in this line. Uh, you're playing. Okay, this is something interesting to start with. You're playing knight g5 here, which is very good. Right
Mm-hmm.
here you can do it, and your opponents are playing this line, which is called Draxler
Yeah.
variation, which is very tricky,
But
right? Because
actually, this one's only it's the only YouTube video I watched. So I think this one actually did quite well.
you know what to do here. Because I don't. I mean, you
I
took with the knight.
eat. I always eat.
Yeah, you took with the knight the 3 times,
Yeah.
but it's already a move I wouldn't play. I think bishop takes is the way to go here, because this is like super risky. I mean, maybe you can play like this actually, but
He will eat exactly. Nine.
here,
Yes.
and here they can play. I think d5. Yeah, this is what it has been happening. This, I mean, if you saw a video, if you are confident in this line, you can play it, but this is actually very risky. Like, you have 2 games in this position. Let me
Mm-hmm.
copy to see what happened. One you lost, one you won. This one, because also think that if black is playing bishop c5, they also know something, right? They don't play bishop
Yeah.
c5 just because, oh, what can I do? I just give the f7 pawn with no reason. Uh, no, they also like to do this. What I
Mm-hmm.
used to play as white is just bishop takes and I go back with the bishop. And that's it. I mean, your king is going to be in the center. If a6, I go back. It's kind of coward in a way, uh, but you keep the pawn and you can keep playing. This one is very complicated. Here, your opponent play well, 94 and bishop g4. And actually, this position you are already losing. Like after c3, bishop g4, game is
Mm-hmm.
over. So, well, here it seems you still have some moves. d6 is playable, but it's like super complicated to play this well. I would just avoid this directly. Like if you have time, you can put the position with a engine stockfish or something like that. It will say, okay, d6, white is slightly better. I have no idea why you can do this. This seems to be losing, and if you play d6 first, queen takes. Now you can take, and it's not losing. I don't know why. Even for me, this is just crazy. Uh, so I my best advice here is just stay with the bishop, right?
Okay.
They will move the king e7 and go back with the bishop, right? They have
Mm-hmm.
to stop this, so they go rook f8 and you castle. Then you go back and you play d3 and you have an extra pawn. That's more or less. I mean, it's not winning in the opening. They will still try to attack you, but you can play c3 to stop 94, and then you're coward here. It's like you wall stone and you have the relics. You wait. You don't have to do anything, right? The other one is the one that needs to justify why uh why he gave the pawn like this. And also the king is in the center forever. So I think just play bishop takes. Um, then for some reason you don't have too many games with d5. But takes, you can play knight takes f7 here. Or what
uh,
do you normally do?
I guess I do this. No, but then I lose.
Yeah,
No.
they can turn the knight
Yeah.
takes 98, for example, and black is no. The tricky thing here is to play knight takes f7, very
Yeah.
aggressive.
That's actually really
So they
good. Then
take,
he eats and then I move the queen. Yeah.
then the queen, and now the only move is king e6, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just take the knight and you want
Yeah.
a pawn, and now you pin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and now what's the idea? Well, you want to in to make it very simple, you want to castle and play d4, right? You need to open the position because the king is so exposed. So after every move like this, you play castle, and the next move is gonna be d4, and then rook e1 and bishop c5 and rook d1, and you have a piece down, yes, but I mean, you also have to think which pieces are playing, right? If you do this bishop c5 and bring the 2 rooks, all your pieces are playing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see black with the 2 rooks here, the bishop on f8. It doesn't really look like you have a piece down, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is 40-45, but in general you are doing well here. So Uh, if they go bishop c5, then you can't play knight g5.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what you do here. You play. Okay, nice. There are some games where you started playing knight e2, knight f1, knight g3. That's what I wanted to see. And some others that you play just knight c3 immediately, which I don't like too much, but it's not bad also. Okay, this is a very nice opening. Let me copy one game. You did immediately knight e2, knight f1, knight g3. This is very good actually. Sometimes you can save tempos because if you castle first,
Mm-hmm.
then you will have to
Yeah.
play probably h3 and rook e1 before this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine you castle. Well, clearly you can go knight f1 now,
Yeah.
but also if you play rook e1, knight g4 could be annoying because you might have to go back with the rook. So probably you need to play h3, rook e1, and only then this. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes this plan is nice to do it before castle even. That's a very good thing. And bishop g4. What do you think of this move now? Is it
Mm.
good? Is it bad? It's annoying you? It's not?
It's annoying, but uh, it's good, no? What's bad about it?
Like it's good for black? You like it or
For black, yes.
the problem of this move, which is a mistake here,
Mm-hmm.
is that when you play a move like bishop g4 or bishop g5, you
Mm-hmm.
have to know what you want to do after h3, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
like
he cannot go
you
to
can
h5, yeah. So.
exactly you can't play this move and after h3 think, oh, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to know, okay, if I do this, my opponent will play h3.
Yeah.
Then do I want to take? The answer in this type of position is usually a big no, right? Because this square and light squares in general will be so weak. Here you play knight f5, queen g3, and you mate, basically,
Mm-hmm.
right? Imagine I will do two random moves. Now you play queen g3, and this is
Mm-hmm.
game over.
Yeah.
G6, you can even take it, right? There is this pin.
Mm-hmm.
You also threaten bishop a6. This is actually bishop a6 might be winning. It's mate. So this, I mean, in the Italian, where you bring the knight to g3, the key square of the game is f5,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If he plays right and he keeps the bishop here, well, you can play h3 and then knight h4 and then knight f5, and you still have the two knights coming here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But giving the bishop like this for no reason is really bad. And playing bishop g4, h3, bishop d7 is also really bad, right? You play this move for free.
Yeah.
If he plays bishop d7, you play h3, now it's his turn. I mean, it's like uh, losing a big tempo. So this game looks nice. A3, I don't know, doesn't look like so necessary, but it's also not bad. You save the bishop in case
No, in case
uh,
he goes
knight
a5,
a5.
no? Yeah.
Exactly. And an alternative could be bishop b3 to pre-group the bishop here. Even playing b4 is a good idea in general, right? You
Yeah.
attack the bishop, he goes back, you stop this, and then you castle, for example. Or you even go a4 and he needs to
Yeah.
stop this with a6 or a5. Uh, but this is a typical move in the c3 Sicilian, Italian, not Sicilian. We will go to the Sicilian now because uh, that's the one that your score is not doing very well.
Yeah.
So let's make a different chapter for Sicilian. Sicilian is this, right? Okay, why these two moves are the main moves? We already said, right? They want to control the center.
Mm-hmm.
Your next move here, if you play again, is d4. Not
Yeah.
knight f3, not knight c3, right? You want to put the 2 pawns in the center, so they have to avoid it, and that's why these two moves.
Mm-hmm.
And c5, if you ever play d4, he trades a flank pawn, right, or a c pawn
Mm-hmm.
for a d pawn, which in theory is good for black, right? Because he will have more center then. Uh, it's never so easy. It's never so direct like that because in return, well, you can have more space, you can have better development, right? But I guess what I want to show you today is the move c3. It's something I used to play when I was a kid. Some coach told me If you don't like what happens in the open Sicilian, play c3. It's called developing. And well, what's a good thing about this move? That at your level, I expect a lot of players not to know exactly what to do, right?
Hmm.
What do you think Black should play after c3?
For
Very
me, when they do this, it looks like they're playing random. So we'll do something random, like I don't know.
well, no, but this has a very clear idea. You want to play d4 and take with the pawn, right?
Hmm. So
So it's
maybe e5.
well, e5 is possible, but then you probably go knight f3 and then d4 as well, right? You
Yeah.
still have so many pieces defending.
Hmm.
Uh, then they can play. What will happen is that if they play, I don't know, d6 in against knight f3, they will play it here as well, which is a mistake, or e6 or knight c6. All these moves are not the best. And against knight f3, these three moves are the top three options, right?
Hmm.
After c3, you have a little problem. Let's say that you can't play knight c3 anymore,
Yeah.
right? So because of that, it's that he should try to attack on e4 immediately with these two moves, knight f6
Mm.
or d5. Now, if imagine d5 takes, queen takes, the queen developing so quickly should be bad, but here you can't play knight c3, so this is not bad, right?
Yeah.
In a way, if it's like this line we were saying before, that here you took on d4 a lot of times. Well,
Mm.
the queen on d4 is really good, right? So the queen on d5 here, when the pawn is on t3, I mean, here it's not really good, but it's very decent. Like,
Hmm.
uh, it's okay. So first of all, let's see what happens when they play all the rest, right? Any other move, you will go d4, right?
Hmm.
And after pawn takes, you will take with the pawn.
Hmm.
Imagine like this. If they attack this, well, you probably need to defend with the bishop because you can play knight c3, right?
Yeah.
And then you play knight f3, castle, and you play in the center, right? If you have two pawns in the center, and your opponent will play with e6, d6, you have already an advantage there. Like if you can keep these two central pawns, it's gonna be really good. Also, if you like this setup, when your opponent play, I don't know, g6, you can do this, and then you can go c3 and bishop d3 and knight f3, right? You play like this, and again, this knight is coming to g3 eventually, right? Like when you do knight f3, bishop d3, castle, castle, he do this, rook, and at some point, the knight do this,
Hmm.
right? Uh, but if you keep the center, you will have a very easy game, right? Because you have more space and you can decide what to do next, right? He needs to think, okay, maybe you go e5. You shouldn't hurry too much. You just bring the knight, go h3, bishop e3, queen d2, bring the rook. Like finish development. And you are solid, right? Uh, so I guess this, I would like you to play c3. Then there are like two moves I told you, right? Knight f6 or d5, which are the right move.
Hmm.
After this, you have to advance the pawn and go d4, right? Then knight, then bishop, then castle. Normal, but you have the center. I guess it's easier to play as white, especially at this level, because your opponent won't know what to do with the pieces, right? There's no space. Imagine they do this, d6, you even go here, e6, you just develop the bishop, then you castle, go rook e1, take with the pawn. He has some space problem, right? Uh, then I guess while you start playing this line and we see some games in the future,
Yeah.
we can see more details. Like for now, just know you go d4, take always with the pawn, go knight f3 here, castle, and that's it. And if they play d5, you will take and d4, and then again knight here, bishop, castle, and you will take with the pawn and always developing the pieces to to the center, right?
Hmm.
I guess this one is probably the most annoying move, but I don't expect you to see like it won't be the most popular choice uh, at all. I mean, they will play more knight c6, d6, or e6, which are bad moves, than d5, which is a good move. Because c3 is not very popular. It's called alapin. I will write here. with only one n. Uh, but okay, I want to see your last games.
I'm not
For
really sure
example,
you will want to see them, but okay.
let's see why you lost your 1400.
Yes, those bastards.
But no, you were doing very well. Guess the stream is hard
I always
to
blame it
play.
on the viewers.
Yeah, it's always viewers' fault. Ah, wait, I forgot something. After d4 as black, you keep playing uh, this, right?
Mm-hmm. Always, yes.
Uh, I don't know if you remember last time we talked about the option of playing c6, and it's all. If you see like what's in common with all the things I'm suggesting you is
I
I
mean,
want you to play in the center, right?
yeah.
So if you play d takes, he goes e3. Next move he plays bishop. You don't have anything in the center,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you play c6, and when he takes, you take, you are saying, I'm here. I mean, I'm in the center. I don't give you any space advantage. This is equal, and you keep playing a very solid game,
But they
right?
never do this. They keep giving me. I never understand these openings. They keep giving me like I eat this. He does something. Wait, no, that's not how it goes. How did it go? Like they keep giving me pieces. I'm not really sure what the scenario here.
Uh,
No, it's
that's a
a.
bit strange. I guess
It
in
was
some
C3
situations,
maybe.
no, they can go b3 when you play b5, something like that. If you want to be greedy and keep the pawn, they will start attacking the pawns like this. Yes. If you don't defend the pawn, they will never play b3, right? They will just take the pawn for sure. The only scenario where they can play b3 is where you play b5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they do this and then b5 is weak. If
Okay.
you take, they take here, right? But my advice, let me see. Do you play this all the games? You don't face d4 too much compared to e4. You have 53 games against e4 and 16 games against e4.
Mm-hmm.
But something interesting is the statistics will tell you a lot of things. After e4, you are scoring like 60% of the points,
Mm-hmm.
and after d4, you are scoring 40% of the points.
Mm-hmm.
So you are doing much worse after d4. And all your games, yes, here after this, you took in all the games, you lost 4 and won 2. The thing is, I mean, I want you to like to see the game in a way that the center is really important, right? And playing d takes e4 is like giving something for white already. He goes e4, next move he takes the pawn, and he got the center, he got two central pawns and space. And this is not the best way to
So C6
play the opening.
is the move here.
No, I mean, yeah, d takes e4 is completely playable, e6 is completely playable. I think for you it's gonna be better to play c6. Like when someone is learning chess,
Mm-hmm.
like it's easier to play symmetric, to play in the center, to play solid, right? The same way after e4 you are playing e5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are doing this bishop, this against the same, right?
Yeah.
You play a good opening, you play in the center, you don't allow him to. I mean, you are not playing g6 d4 bishop here, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
not bad, but you have to know more things to allow your opponent to get the center and then know how to counterattack, right? The same if you play c6 or e6. These lines are completely playable because at some point you will fight for the center. Uh, but the best way to play at the beginning is e4, e5, play symmetric, play the center, and after d4, d5, c4. I don't like the idea of taking because of that. You are losing the center already.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is. You will see good players playing d takes e4, and I mean I'm not saying d takes e4 is wrong. It's very playable, but it's just positionally speaking more complicated to play well. Your game it's gonna be much easier if you play c6 take with the pawn every time he takes, go knight here, develop the bishop before playing e6, right? And what you want to get is a position like this. I told you the other day, right? This
Yeah.
is the setup you want to get.
Yeah.
Uh, every time they take, you take with the pawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, probably he takes is also good, he takes is good, but you want to keep the center. That's very important. And the other thing I saw some games you still do is to put the knight on c6. I don't know if I have some example, maybe after bishop f4. Yeah, after bishop f4, your last 3 games, you went knight c6.
Yeah, it kind of makes
And
no
you don't
sense.
you don't want to play knight c6. Why? Because first of all, uh, if they ever play c4,
Mm-hmm.
you would like to play c6, right? To keep this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in general, if your opponent is not playing c4 and you want to play more aggressive, usually you play c5 and then knight c6,
Mm.
queen b6, bishop, and that would be a normal opening. Playing knight c6, think it as a mistake already. I mean, it's you would tell me, okay, but why here I can play knight f3, right? It's different because the king is here, right? You don't want to play the king's gambit
Yeah.
and expose the king, but in this position, playing this move is completely normal. And if your opponent plays very coward like this, playing c5 is very normal because then your queen can go like this to b6 to or just to fight for the center, right? Uh, every time you play c5, right? Taking the pawn is similar. It's not very good because you win the center now. You have 2 central pawns. You can go this if I record. I mean, white will never keep this pawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, if you want to take it, you go check and take it, but it's not even necessary. You can go this and take it with the bishop, but you have the center. And every time you play c5, if you see the openings, usually your opponent will play c3 or e3 because when we take, they want to keep taking with a pawn and keeping something in the center, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think it like that. These 4 squares are really important. If you have more space, it's gonna be easier to play, right? You don't have if you have to play in this space, it's gonna be easier than if you have to play in this space, right?
Yeah.
Like the options you have are just better. Here, I don't know, you have to play like this, all very small, and your opponent is putting the knight here, the bishop here, the bishop here. Well, clearly he already has an initiative that it shouldn't happen, right? If you play solid. That's why my advice again is put the pawn on c6 here, take with the pawn. The rest, it's not like so relevant like only this detail, right? And if they play here, if you want to make it simple, I mean, you can always play with c6. Also, c5 is good. Actually, c5 is the best move, and this is what I would play. But never knight c6 with a pawn on c7 on the queen side, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the king side, yes, you will play eventually knight f6, and this is not a mistake because you don't want to play this. But on the queen side, where the queen is, that you can go to b6, you want to play uh, in this position. For example, c5 immediately is a very decent move. So those 2 things, right? Don't put the knight on c6 with the pawn there. Try to aim to, I will just make random moves. Try to aim to this setup, right? And the bishop on d6, and you castle. If you get this, it's perfect. You have nothing to worry about the opening. Then you can play 45, you can play for 94. It depends also what your opponent is doing, right? He won't be playing 9b1, 93, of course. But if you get this, it's very good. Uh, well, I don't know if you have any question about this, any other opening that
No, it was basically well, the previous one, which was annoying. Was it C5? Yes,
the
C5.
Sicilian. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. In that case, let's focus on this strategy of playing in the center. The same way, uh, there's many examples we just said about keeping something in the center. Well, here is the same. We play c3 because we want to play d4 and take with the pawn,
Mm-hmm.
right? playing d4 immediately would be a big mistake, right? Because he takes, and now he goes knight c6. We develop the queen too early. They win a tempo, and they even have two central pawns against one, right?
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't look like it will win or lose games, of course, but it will give you an easy way to play or a bad position from the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess, do you have this feeling that sometimes you play a very good game, the moves are easy to play, and sometimes you have no idea what to do?
Yeah,
Like,
sometimes you're stuck, like you don't know how to proceed.
and I never saw this pawn structure, I never saw this opening, and I don't know where to put my pieces. Well, that's because you probably did something wrong in the opening. So, okay, let me do something now. I will copy some of the games you lost,
Mm-hmm.
and I will copy today's game. So probably you will remember more.
I'll try.
You play a lot, actually. I mean, that's why I'm saying probably. Maybe so. Yeah, 2 April and 1. I will copy the one you lost. Oh, today you had a tough day.
Yeah, well, before the stream, I lost 3 in a row. Yes.
Yeah, you lost 5 and won 1. Okay, let's take a look at that. And also April 1st. Oh, and here you won 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row yesterday,
Sick player.
where you got 1400. Amazing player. Okay,
Next
let's copy.
Kasparov.
Now, I guess, I mean, at your rating, if you try to improve a bit the openings and you do tactics on your own, you can go up on rating very quickly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you get 1600 in a month or something. It seems something very reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you need to do pass rush. I think you did some,
I
but
did some, but not too much. Yes.
yeah, not too much. And also your score, I think it was 19,
I
and I would
always do
expect,
puzzle rush when I'm waiting for a game
and then you
in
cancel it,
the
or
and then the game starts and then I do panic mistakes because I have 1 minute and then I get wrecked.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, because 19, it's not bad, but I guess you can do more. Like I think I told you around 25, you can aim to do that. Okay, these are the games that you lost yesterday
Mm-hmm.
and today, right? So let's take a look more or less quickly. Queen f6, it's a terrible move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he develops the queen too early. He needs to play something like that. Well, at least c6 is. I mean, if you play this horrible move, the right way to continue is playing c6.
Mm-hmm.
If not, knight e5 will kill you. And now, uh, a bit too passive here. You could play d4, right? When your opponent is playing such a bad opening,
Mm-hmm.
try to punish this. You go d4. You fight for the center. What's the problem? If he takes, you probably can even go bishop c5 first, which is a nice move, and then you take, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he takes d6, it's even worse. What can you do here? You have a nice tactic.
Eh, well, maybe bishop to g5, but I don't know what that will give me,
Yeah,
right?
bishop c5
Yeah.
is very good. I mean, every time you can develop a piece attacking the queen and basically developing for free, right? Because he needs
Mm-hmm.
to move the queen again. It's a good idea. But
Mm-hmm.
here, exactly, there is an attack on d8. So he goes queen e6, imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
Yes.
well, that's not a bad move, but you are missing something much better that is just taking, right? Because you can't retake the pawn.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So after
True.
d4, your opponent, I mean, in a serious game, it's more or less losing here. And it's move 4, right?
Yeah.
Problem is when you see your opponent is playing let's call it strange moves that
Mm-hmm.
you feel, okay, this can't be right, but I don't know exactly why. Well, try to play more aggressive, more critical, right? Here you do normal moves, play in the center, develop pieces. If he's playing like this, it doesn't have to annoy you at all, right? It's like thanks for allowing me to bring my pieces out, winning tempo, right? So bishop e2, d3. It's not like bad, but it's missing the opportunity to
Yeah.
punish with d4, right?
Yeah.
So then you play a3, and okay, all these moves are a bit of the same. You're
Yeah.
playing super passive,
Not sure what
right?
to do
Like,
after this. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, I think a few minutes ago I told you something like putting the pieces like this, right? And here
Mm.
you are doing it just because you want, right? Because you could clearly play bishop c4, right?
Yeah.
And you could clearly play d4 and bishop here, right? It's like you choose to play very small and passive here, and there's no need, right? You have the space, you have the. This move is something you really have to play.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so bishop e3. Anyway, this position is good. Queen d2. He took. Okay, and here you just missed the mate. Which, let's see a few things. How can you avoid this first?
You mean what I need to do now?
Yeah, instead of taking on e5.
Maybe this.
Yeah, that's the best move by far. He will probably take the rook, right? You will take the bishop,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have two minor pieces for a rook,
Mm-hmm.
which in this case is completely winning for white because the rooks are really bad. You have a very clear attacking plan here, right? You can put rook on g1, and in order to break this defense, what can you do? There is a way to bring the pieces that will be deadly.
Guess I need to go to with the knight to d1s and e3 up to g4 maybe.
Exactly, perfect. If you do this, right, you go king h1, rook,
Mm-hmm.
knight. It's completely game over, right?
Yeah.
Very nice. This is clearly the best way to play. Uh, then when you play pawn takes, I don't know if you missed. I mean, you
I
missed queen
didn't see
g6,
that. Yeah.
but here you still have a move that you don't lose, which is knight g5, right? It's like clearly queen g5 is losing, king h1 is losing, but you still have this move, right? And I mean, it's still fine because you won a piece, right? Like here you took a knight,
Mm-hmm.
so you can give back a knight to keep playing, and if he takes, I don't know, you go rook e1, whatever. If he takes this, probably you'd have to take. Uh, Maybe you are some material down, but it's not even clear because you might take this pawn, and but I know if here it's like you give up already and you didn't see 95,
Yeah.
or I mean, clearly if you saw 95, you would play it, but
Yeah.
uh, the you thought it was made already, or
Yeah.
you remember this was today, I think.
I guess I thought it was
I know
over.
this
Yeah.
was yesterday. Uh-huh. Okay. Now this game is besides the tactical mistake that you did in the end. What I want you to see is that your opponent is playing terrible in the opening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you play normal moves, right? You can do bishop d3 and bishop when there's no need to play like this, right? You have better squares. Like I'm telling you, d4, bishop c4, bishop g5 is like clearly the natural squares to go, and not just this, because then he will have time to develop, right? You have to take advantage now that he's doing this, which is clearly bad. You have two knights out. You can bring the bishop attacking the queen. Uh, then if you play like this, right, you did how many moves? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves. Now he's more or less playing something decent. He castle. Now it's not so clear anymore, right? Okay, the sacrifice is bad. Maybe he could play this with the same idea, right? Now you can take because of queen g6. But the way he did it, it's really bad. But even if he just go back with the knight, now he got a decent position. Like it's not so bad, like it would be if you play d4.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one. Again, your opponent starts doing, let's say, strange moves, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not like clearly bad, so I don't want to say mistakes, but clearly playing knight f3 is better than playing d3. I mean, he needs to develop pieces and not just moving pawns. You play knight c6, bishop d6, very nice. And here you went knight g7. I like this. Uh, any reason why you decide to play knight g7 and not knight f6?
I think if I remember correctly, I want to go to f4 later with the knight. I'm
Yeah,
not
okay.
sure.
Yeah. Like knight g6 and here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Also, another aggressive idea is that you can castle and play f5,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
right?
that's true. Yeah.
Open the f file for the rook, and sometimes even after, again, let's do some random moves. When something like this happens and you end up taking, the rook will be helping to play knight f4 as well.
Mm-hmm.
You will do this, bring the pieces, but knight g7 is a nice move. So here a6, nice. Here knight e4, I like it. I would consider already this or this as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, you have a very, very nice position here. And I think what is happening in general is that you don't recognize the moment where you have to go more aggressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's developing in a very strange and passive way. You can do this, take with the bishop, bring the knight, and then if you open this, right, and you bring the knight to h4, for example, there will be a lot of pressure on f2. The queen comes like this, the rook is here, the bishop is here, and your opponent is playing really, really passive to be white. Usually, white should have the initiative in a normal opening, but he started with d3 h3, which it's already saying uh, I won't play with the initiative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here knight g6. Well, this is a good moment for f5 as well, right?
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Seems like this idea it wasn't
Yeah, I
you
never
didn't
think
consider.
about the f5. I need to start
Uh-huh.
thinking about it more.
Yeah, sometimes it's possible. Here it makes a lot of sense because your pieces are ready to attack on f2, right?
Yeah.
Then the queen comes to h4 and he needs to solve a lot of issues. So you went knight g6, which is also good. Here knight h4. Here, okay, perfect. You took on queen f6, and here you should be completely winning already. When
Mm-hmm.
you win this pawn and you have the bishop pair.
Yeah.
So I suppose you had to blunder something because this is a very, very nice position already. Okay. Do you see something in this sequence?
Wait, what? What did I do again?
He went d5,
Okay.
he went knight e2, and after bishop e4, he went queen f4, and you went bishop d3. Do you see anything strange? I don't want to tell you exactly where because it's gonna be easier, but thing 92, bishop, queen f4, bishop d3.
What's wrong with it? I don't see it.
After bishop e4, he
Mm-hmm.
went queen
That is
f4.
this clown
Okay.
content. Kappa.
Thank you, Misha, for the 3 months. He went f4.
Yeah, he did queen f4.
Oh, I missed the mate.
You have mate in one.
Oh my god, yes. What a noob.
So
Disaster.
this is clearly a game, not only because of this mate, right? Just
Yeah,
because of the position you have here, you have to win it.
yeah.
So let's go a bit quickly. Okay, now you took an exchange. What did you? Oh, and now he complicates. Okay, yes. Now actually it's tricky. You didn't see bishop a6 for sure, but how to avoid it? This is a tactical thing. Sometimes it's probably easier to attack than to defend. Like when
Mm-hmm.
you're attacking, you probably see more things than when you have to anticipate them, right? But here, if you see he's putting the queen, pinning the king, trying to take on a6, what's your simple move here to?
Yeah, I guess move the king. Let me just
Yeah,
see.
just move the king to a7 or h8. Doesn't matter actually. Now he's not playing bishop a6, and you are completely winning because of the extra rook and I mean the extra exchange.
Yeah, I Titanic.
So okay, and then you will under the fork, and yeah, it's like when a mistake happens. Usually, more mistakes will happen, right? Because here, if
Yeah,
you take with a pawn, and if he takes a rook, you take the knight. For example, this is more or less equal, right? You shouldn't lose this position. Like takes takes, he goes out with the bishop.
yeah,
It's more or less equal. But first missing the mate, right? That's big. But even after, you just go here, nothing happens, and you still have the chance to play pawn takes queen f5. So it's like this is pure tactical mistakes at this point, right?
yeah, disaster.
Uh, so then we have this one, the Sicilian. Okay, I see this a lot, right? Don't. But now in this position, start playing c3 and try
Mm-hmm.
to play ambitious in the sense that you have to look for good square for your pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's like I don't know if you. When I was a kid, I was always moving the pieces like if I was playing alone, right? If you want to get like the best setup possible, and if you have to make 10 moves as white, right? Without taking and mating, of course, you don't want to do this in 10 moves. But if you want to develop the pieces, usually it's gonna be like something like this for sure, and then the bishops will go, I don't know, c4, d3, f4, e3, right? You wouldn't say, okay, my best setup is playing bishop e2 and bishop d2, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be ambitious. Try to look for the best squares always.
Yeah.
And I see that you're playing bishop e2 a lot, right? And bishop d2 in the other game, right? That you did d3, bishop a3, queen c1. It's like as white, try to use this initiative, right? You start, you have like a, it's like serving in tennis if you want. Like you have to try to do something with that advantage. So you went castle, rook e1, d4, and queen takes. Okay, here taking with the queen would be nice if there is no knight c6,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is if the knight is on d7, for example, you want to take with the queen, well, you can. If this happens and he takes and you take with the queen, well, this queen is perfect, right? This is like the Scotch variation, right? When you take, I don't know if you know what the Scotch variation is, but it's like when you take here, right? He
Mm-hmm.
takes with the queen, and this piece is really, really good. The same, I mean, the opposite happens here. You take with the queen when he can play knight c6.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wrong. You take with the knight here, and usually something a concept to remember is when there is an isolated pawn like this, right?
Yeah.
There is no pawns in the next two files. You want to block with a knight, right? A knight here will be very well placed because there's no pawns kicking the knight, right? So queen d1, knight d4. Okay, it's like you recognize that, but why taking with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
queen going back?
Exactly.
You lose tempos there. Uh, so bishop d2. Okay, here you blunder the knight in one move, and
Yeah.
your opponent
Yeah.
didn't take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I saw that
But
later.
but as you see, I mean, it's where you make a small inaccuracy, like taking with the queen at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It will come with more mistakes, you know? Like if you would take the right way immediately after this, I don't know, you can go bishop e3, queen d2 if you want to do something like that, or bishop here or bishop here. You have the initiative, right? You can go for the best possible squares. Now you lose a tempo, and then this move happens that it's a big tactical thing that,
Yeah.
well, it was very good. He didn't take. Now you
Mhm.
took, went bishop c5, bishop h4. Now it's a normal game again. Okay, this one, it looks very strange.
I guess I
Like,
wanted before to take his Ponsa.
yeah. I suppose you want to go here, but thing is, uh, he has many ways to stop this, and I mean, a5 would be
Yeah.
one. Rook b8, maybe attacking the pawn and also stopping this. Queen b6, right? It's and also imagine that you play again, right? And I go king h8 and you play knight b4.
Hmm.
I just go queen b6 and the next move I kick your knight, and I don't think it's gonna be like, it's not like you are taking something for sure, right? You're
Yeah.
just attacking something he will defend. He can go bishop e7 if he wants, then c5. Uh, the knight on c3 is not a great piece, to be honest, but on a2 and b4 is not like improving, in my opinion. Here, what to do? I don't know. Maybe if you want to move the knight, you could try to go to c5. Like knight here is b4 and knight here could be an idea. I guess I would just play bishop d3. And f3 and h3, queen f3. If they attack this, I go b4. It's equal. I mean, I don't think white is better here, but uh, when you do a maneuver like this, you probably have to be sure that you are improving the knight. And this one doesn't feel to me that it's improving. I guess just keep the knight here, try to improve the bishop a bit. The queen can go here. You can put the two rooks on the e file, and then you have something more or less okay, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so, okay, I like this one. 93. This is a good square in the end, but yeah, the problem is your knight is not covering e4 anymore. And now I want to see the moment this go wrong. Okay, here it starts to go wrong, but it's not like super bad.
Hmm.
Uh, you have a tactical thing here that he's not attacking the knight, right?
Oh, that's true. He's not. Oh,
Because the
yeah.
rook is hanging. So you could play, I don't
Yeah, I
know,
could
rook b1
adjust.
first.
What about this?
Or
Isn't this like.
f3, maybe he goes e3. I don't know if I want to
Ah,
allow
he
this, to
just
be
did that.
honest.
Okay.
Then, but if imagine if you want to play knight c5 without losing this pawn, well, you go rook b1, and the next move you do this,
Yeah.
or even this. I mean, if you have to. But I think losing this pawn, because now you take this one, but in the end, I suppose he can play bishop f5, which he didn't, right?
True.
Uh, and I don't know, maybe you can hold, but it's becoming very, very tricky here. Well, you have more chances to play h3. There you go, knight c5, knight d3, and this one, I don't know. Maybe the bishop is slightly better than the knight. There is another concept. I know it's. I know. Maybe if you see the stream again, you can remember more concepts. But I'm just saying a few. Uh, when you have bishop versus knight in these endgames, usually when you have pawns in both flanks, the
Hmm.
bishop will be better. It's more or less logical, right? Because the bishop is faster than the knight.
Yeah.
Many times you can like support your pawn while you stop a pawn pushing,
Hmm.
and the knight, well, the knight is here or here, right? You can't be everywhere. If the knight uh, is against the bishop only in one flank, well, that's not an advantage for the bishop for sure. The other thing is, well, something you probably know, close positions, the knights are better. Uh, and open positions, the bishop pair is something really powerful.
Yeah.
So when you want takes. Okay, and this is the exact example I was telling you, right? I
Yeah.
expect here to be a draw, but the only one with winning chances is black because this thing, right? Pawns on both flanks, the bishop is faster. Also, you have too many pawns on his bishop color,
Yeah.
right? Could be better if you can start little by little changing, right? The structure. I don't know. Ideal would be to have this and c3 and the king. I don't know d4. Uh,
That was a
so you went
plan
c3.
to move
Yeah,
to
c3.
blacks.
I like this. Now you bring the knight. But the thing you are missing here is to bring the king, right?
Yeah.
See the next move. Your opponent did king f8, king e7, king d6, and only then, when the king was on d6, you went king g1.
Mm-hmm.
So in this position, you probably want to play king g1 immediately. King f8, king f2, king e7, king d4, king d6, king d4, right? E3, king d4.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to be sure that he's not bringing the king like this. And if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves without bringing the king, now you are losing. Even if, king c5 is winning here because he just go for this pawns and you can do nothing. But
Yeah.
this is like really, really important. In an endgame, when you don't know what to do, bring the king, right? This position, first thing you have to think is, I do these moves. Then I see.
Yeah.
If you have to think, what's my priority here? To play the pawns on dark squares or bring the king? Well, first, bring the king, right? Because yes, you can put all the pawns in the squares you want. But if his king gets to c4, you're losing, right?
See?
You need your king to stop him. And well, now he won this, which is bad, and you end up bringing the king. Now I don't know why you lose, because you have the extra pawn. Oh, he brings the king again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now it's losing. But you could avoid this, I suppose. Like if you put a knight on e3, for example, you went for the pawns, and it's very tricky. If you put the knight here, you are covering all the squares that he can enter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at least you should never, never lose this. And then you can try to win, of course. You have an extra pawn. You need to try to open something here, like, for example, I would go f4, and if I do this, I takes an h4, trying to open a bit. Then I bring my king. According to the computer, it's still a draw, but black will suffer a lot here. But allowing king c4, king b3 is just really, really risky. Even if you win this pawn, that I think you didn't. But what I would do here is, okay, first of all, I don't want to lose, right? I block everything. Once I'm sure I'm not losing, I play for the win, like zero risk.
Yeah.
That's usually a good approach here. Okay,
Sounds reasonable.
then after king b3, I just going fast here because I think it's, yeah,
It's
it's
over
over.
already.
It's over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So no, I don't know. Let's see some different opening. Okay, this is something we talked also last week.
Mm.
Um, do you remember something about this? There is an important strategic concept that I think makes this move an inaccuracy.
No, my weak brain doesn't remember.
Okay, well, space advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Space advantage means you want to keep all the pieces, so he struggles for developing,
Mm.
right? So if you do this, in a way, you help him because now there's one piece less that he needs to worry about uh, where to put it, right? Because usually the knight will go to f5 now, and the bishop is not blocking, and then it's very easy for him. Okay, here he should play knight e7, knight and bishop, and he gets a very good development because you allow him to try this, right? I would just play knight f3, bishop, and castle, then see. But he will have to solve how to develop the pieces because especially this square is so annoying for these two,
Yeah.
right? You do this, you play knight, knight, bishop. I don't know. You can choose here. You have a lot of squares, and he doesn't. You have a space advantage. When you have a space advantage, you keep more pieces, right? Bishop d3. Anyway, this position is also good, but just saying that. Oh, did you land the bishop here? f4.
Yeah.
He didn't do
He
it.
didn't do it, but he did it after it. Yeah. Or no, actually, I moved the. I saw
Yeah,
that.
because now you go
Yeah,
h3,
yeah,
and at
yeah.
least,
I saw
I
that.
mean, it's gonna be very trapped, the bishop on h2, but at
Yeah,
least you have it, right?
yeah.
So, well, this is important, right? Maybe uh, again here you miss a very very important move. What can you do instead of bishop g5? You have another aggressive move that is way better.
Maybe. Well, what will it give me? This one. It will give me nothing. So maybe not that one.
Yeah, something that wins the game.
Wins the game. Oh boy. I don't know.
You went bishop g5, but knight g5 attacks e6, and you can't
Oh,
defend
that's
e6
true. That's true.
because this pawn should be on f7, or the queen should be defending from here. But the way he has the pieces, he can't defend e6, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do here.
Misha in the chat saw it, but I'm a pleb, man.
Yep.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, and he's right. I mean, he also said that after this move, he can't play f4, right? Because the knight is hanging. I
Oh,
guess he will
that.
go like king f7, rook g8, and only then he will be threatening f4. So maybe uh, you have one extra move to do here, but when he defends the knight, you will have to do h3. So, but this is the same case I was telling you, right? When you make a move like this, you should probably know before playing this move what to do after a6, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Well, clearly going here, it's really bad. I don't know if you thought like you would have made, right? Because sometimes if they do this, it's like this diagonal is too weak, and you would have like a mating attack. But here, well, the queen's defending, the knight's defending g6, so there is a nice line in the Dutch. The Dutch is this variation. That why do this on purpose, right? And after here, bishop h4, here, and f4, it's a typical trap because we can just go e3, right?
Mm-hmm.
We attack the pawn and we attack the mate. But that's not the case in your game, right? You don't have this any tactic on this diagonal. So, and here it's like you have a bad game, I think, already. He goes a6, nice, and now he will push these pawns and your king will suffer a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bad thing about this structure is you don't have pawn breaks, right? b5 is your only break and he's just taking. Now
Mm-hmm.
he goes bishop, rook, start pushing the pawn, and it's more or less waiting till he wins, right? It's only black is playing this position. Okay, he trapped this. Now this one was not very good, but I think it would help a lot to, well, you had knight g5 that could be winning immediately, right? But like in this position.
Yeah.
But in general, the idea of bishop d3 is something
No bueno.
it's already starting wrong, right? Because think like this: I have a space advantage, I keep my pieces. It's logical, right? He has to think how to put 4 pieces in 3 squares, right? There's no space. Trades are good for him, right? Because then he has more space to actually when he trades the bishop, he puts the knight on f5, this knight on d7, this knight on this bishop on e7. Okay, next one. See a few more. Okay,
Oh, that's what I was
takes.
talking. This is the one I was talking about earlier, which I have no idea why
Ah,
they do it. What can you tell me why they do it? What's the plan?
well, it's giving material for development. It's especially in blitz, it's very risky, right? And I wouldn't be so greedy as you did
Why
to take all
not?
the pawns.
Why not? Again, tell me the plan.
No, that I just feel this is what white wants usually. They have good development. They will attack us, uh, and there are better alternatives, I think, to react after this. For example, after this particular order, I think Queen E7 is very strong. It's a hard move to recommend because it's against opening logics. Let's say, right, developing the queen to take a pawn, but
Mm-hmm.
it's actually working very well here. So I don't know. I just feel if they play this and Queen E7 is working, the idea is simple. If they take with the queen, we go knight C6, then knight F6, and then D5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like here, and then let's say D5. Great development. So usually they will keep sacrificing a pawn, right? Like do this. We will take the pawn. If they go bishop E2, this pawn we can also take it. So they
Mm-hmm.
should probably go bishop E3. And
Mm-hmm.
now there is a very simple thing, right? We already won a pawn. So now all we want to do is just develop pieces, right? We go bishop check, and after this we are pinning, so we can just go knight F6. And after this, we could just play castle and take and go back with the queen. But even better is playing knight D5, taking advantage of the pin.
Mm-hmm.
So they defend, we take the bishop, and here we just go back with the queen because there's no more pin. And this position is not winning for black, but it's much better for black. We go c65, castle. If
Yeah.
a3, we can go back. Uh, so I think this is a better punishment for this. I never took these pawns, and also in the Sicilian, there is something called the Mora Gambit, which is this. And I also play knight f6 here, and I don't want to take the pawn. Like, it's only one pawn for a lot of tricks, and it's objectively playable, right?
Did I lose this game? I
Uh,
lost this game, right?
yeah, I copy all the games you lost because I'm evil. But uh, anyway, here you are fine. I mean, you play 95, you're probably winning. You attack the bishop and defend,
Okay. Yeah,
right?
I did
It's not like
remember.
taking the pawns is bad. I just feel from a practical point of view, there are easier ways to play, right?
No,
You
but
don't want
wait.
to.
If I go knight like this, you can just do like this, no?
Yeah, but then you take the bishop.
Ah, true, true. Okay, true.
Then uh, you have to still find a way to develop the pieces. But I guess you can go knight f6. E5 doesn't look so good because uh, you can probably take, go bishop e6, go knight e5, right? Something like this. Then knight here, or even knight here. You have bishop pair, extra pawns. I mean, the you didn't lose because of taking the pawns clearly. Let's
Yeah.
see now. Knight a6 is still good. Here, knight a5 very good. Here you could play c6, right? Like the queen defense,
Ah, true.
and you are threatening b5. He will probably move the bishop. You can play b5 sometimes, but again, this is like I saw in some of your games. The one you took with the queen went back.
Mm-hmm.
Here, going knight a5 to play knight c6.
Yeah,
Clearly, there's something you didn't see, right? Because
yeah.
otherwise, you are just allowing him to play again. And now it's very annoying. I mean, see how much development he has. You can't play bishop e7 because his bishop attacks c7.
Mm-hmm.
So in this position, you are probably in trouble, actually. Here, there is a nice tactic, by the way. He could castle, for example.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you take the bishop?
Nothing.
You win the bishop.
Yeah.
Okay. Final answer.
Wait. If he castles and I take the bishop, what can he do? No, he can't do much. Ah, okay, okay. Then he takes my rook with the queen. Then I take with my queen, and then he forks the king and the queen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's the tactic, right? He goes queen a8,
yeah,
knight c7 here, and you're completely losing.
yeah,
So in a more advanced level, they will see. I mean, he's playing a6, but he can take the bishop.
yeah. True.
So castle is very annoying here. how to. I mean, you can probably move the rook to threaten this, but then he moves the bishop, and I mean, you had to move the rook. Now b5. Oh, actually, the same tactic happens again, right? After this, when you
Yeah,
take, he could play queen a8. He didn't see. Now you're completely winning. And now what happened? Because this one seems really, really winning after. Oh, you blunder bishop g7.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's I remember that.
So what to do here? Well, probably c6 to kick the knight. He moves the knight back, and then you can probably play f6,
Hmm.
knight here, bishop, castle. Once you solve your, I mean, developing problems here, you win. You have an extra piece. There's nothing else to. Even a move like queen check, queen b5, trying to trade queens would be, when you have an extra piece, simplifying the position is always good.
Yeah.
Uh, but most of these games, I mean, you're winning at some point, so you need to be a bit more precise in tactics. Let's see this last one. I will
Hmm.
delete the last. Uh, okay, you're black. This one. Bishop e7, very nice. I mean, this move is very good actually. That uh, and also explains that in this position you have the option to play a6. You can play
Hmm.
d6 and a6, but castle is also good as long as you can go back with the bishop.
Yeah.
You don't want to allow this, right? If you allow this,
Hmm.
you're lost.
Correct.
If you can go bishop e7, okay, nothing really happens. You take d6, bishop e6, knight a5, takes. I mean, this opening you play fantastic till this point, and in
Mm.
one move you blunder a pawn and you are losing.
Why did I
You went
blunder?
c6. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not like you blunder actually, because I think you can take c4, but you didn't. Like in this position, queen takes
Ah,
d6.
it's a queen. Yes. Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
take the pawn on c4, right?
Yeah, true.
Attacking the rook, and well, it's more or less equal. You want rook d8. Now he takes another pawn. Here you can still take go f6 and take this pawn, and
Hmm.
you have a pawn down, but it's not the end of the world. And here, well, you blunder a fork,
Yeah.
and the game is
Rage
over.
quit. Yeah.
But the opening, I mean, I'm surprised because this opening you play really, really well. Like this, I'm pretty sure I will play exactly the same way till here. Uh, Maybe I would like to play g6, bishop g7, right, and then go c6.
So what should I do here?
Yeah, g6,
This is okay.
g6 to hide the bishop,
Hmm.
right? If he takes, I don't care. I just take, and
Yeah.
my pawn structure is very safe. This pawn is weak. If he doesn't take, my next move is bishop g7, right? And
Hmm.
my next move is c6 without carrying,
Yeah.
without this problem, right?
Yeah.
So no, in general, I mean, your openings and positional play is very decent. Try to keep working on the tactics. I mean, the tactics is the difference between winning and losing games many times. I mean, many of these games we saw, you were winning at some point, and you did some big tactical mistake.
Some Titanic.
Yeah, something. I know. Well, if it's stream related, it's
No,
if
no.
you are not
Usually,
focusing.
I rarely stream chess, but yeah,
Uh-huh,
usually I'm just not paying attention, I guess.
uh-huh.
Or I'm a pleb.
So no, no, but I mean, you're playing well. Like
Yeah.
seriously. I would like to troll you and hate you, but it's good. Like um, maybe next time you surprise me with 1500. Who knows?
Yeah, next time.
Or
Next time when you
14,
play
1450 maybe. Who knows?
1450 is very doable. Maybe 1500 by next week. And then I will
Okay.
be able to give you tips like to beat you. I heard you lost some noob yesterday, also Arion wrote to
Yeah,
me.
some Vietnamese
So,
guy.
some yeah, some
Yeah,
chess
yeah.
plebs, so
Then
maybe
if you can see that games and tell me what I did wrong.
yeah, I'll give you tips, man. I'm not expensive.
Okay. No, I guess till you get your, there will be a rating that it's gonna be hard to like go up quickly, right? At some point. But I
Yeah.
think 1350 or 1400 is not that rating. That it should be higher, and we will see till what point. You will, at some point you will see, okay, against these players I'm winning 5 games, losing 5 games.
Mhm.
I can't go up. Okay, like in Age of Empires, like that you are 2.1 playing arena.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
2.2 now, I think.
I lost my
Uh,
2.2, yes.
oh, but well, the same will happen, right? At some moment, it's hard to go up. There's like a roof, or I don't know
Yeah.
how you say it in English,
Skill cap.
but yeah, but not you are not there, at least in chess right now.
Yeah.
So okay, hopefully next time you surprise me with the rating. Try
Yeah.
to remember the things, because there's
Wait,
a lot of
again,
things.
final thing. How do we react again? I already forgot. To G, to
To
like,
C5
yeah,
Sicilian.
yeah. The final, most
This
important
move,
thing.
this move,
Right. C3. That's what I need to
C3
take from this
Alapin. You
lesson.
you can go to
Alapin,
YouTube, put
yes,
how to play the Alapin. It's
yes,
written like this, and try to see some video or something. The idea is
yes,
simple. You play in the center, right? You play d4 and take with the pawn.
yes.
The rest is easier compared to
I need
that.
to remember the Alapin, and I will be 15 plus easily.
Easily. Because
Easily.
yeah, with c5 you are losing every game. If they don't
Yeah.
play the Sicilian, you might be 1500 already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we talk maybe for next week.
Yeah, we will set
Let
a
me
time for next week again. Thank you, Federico.
know. Okay. See you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.